Hi guys, Happy Republic Day 2022. This is the Amrit Mahotsav year, so congratulations for that. The 75th Independence Day of India will be celebrated on 15th August of this year. On this amazing occasion, in this amazing year, we are bringing forward another amazing conversation that I had with Commodore Suresh sir last month. This was of this episode of our podcast. Commodore M.V. Suresh is an ex-Navy man who served Indian Navy at the time PNS Ghazi was sunk. There are movies around that amazing incident that you might have seen, but this conversation is way ahead although. He had lately written a book, Mystic Kerala and Sinking of PNS Ghazi, which of course has a beautiful compilation, a collection of stories from the grounds of Kerala, from the basic culture of Kerala, and also the stated incidents and lot of insights in it. Along with that, he has written a beautiful sensual thriller, Belly Dancer, which is loosely based on the life incident of NJ, Nitin Jacob, who's a very talented director from Kerala, currently in Bangalore. This sensual thriller was very well received by both Indian and foreign markets. So, without further ado, hello sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Any incidents from your life in Navy?
Yeah, I've been in the Navy, I've been in the submarines, and I commanded the submarines, and I was also awarded a gallantry medal in the submarines, and I had an incident on the water where we had a breakdown of the 4 planes, and then by sheer grit and presence of mind, the submarine was saved. That article you must read, is really fascinating.
Okay. Anything about any particular incident while you were within the submarine, or when you were handling the operations regarding PNS Ghazi?
If I tell you the preliminary introduction of the Ghazi, if I tell you, what happened was the Indian Navy was most scared of Ghazi because that's the only submarine it's an American submarine which was given on lease to Pakistan. And the report had come that the commanding officer of Ghazi had sworn on the parade ground that he will not return to Karachi without sinking Vikrant. And then the problem was that the underwater detection capability of the Indian Navy was limited, and we lost INS Kukri, to a Pakistani submarine when she was on patrol, in the Bay of Arabian Sea. So the fear that we will not be able to intercept Ghazi was potent. Then the planners took the decision to keep Ghazi or Vikrant as far as possible away. And then what we did was that we kept actually Vikrant, in the true story, hidden in the Andaman Islands.
Right.
Then what happened was, it was Admiral Krishnan who had the brilliance of mind. He was a remarkable admiral. What he did was that he duplicated the Vikrant. And what happens is, in those days, the transmission of messages was done on WTP called, Dada. So, the telegraph which was there. So, normally when a telegraph operator operates, he's got a style. And then most were Kerala telegraphers because they were proficient in that. So what he did was, he transferred the entire WT set of Vikrant with the telegraphist. His name was Oki Nair, on board another ship, Rajput, and Rajput was about to be decommissioned. It was, not serviceable. So Rajput was made as a dummy for Vikrant. Then what happened was that the entire Indian Navy was searching for Vikrant. We had no clue of Vikrant because every ship that sails out of harbor cannot be a secret. Because there are hundreds of people. If a ship is sailing out of Bombay, if you are sitting in Gateway of India, you can watch every ship going by and you can identify who had sailed. That cannot be kept a secret. And if the ship is, even if it goes in the middle of the night, and next day morning, people can identify by the sight of the, through a simple binocular, the ship has sailed out. So we came to know the ship has sailed out. We were searching with aircraft all over the place, and the first report that it came to the Indian Navy was that Ghazi entered Colombo. When a ship entered Colombo, the Indian Embassy, because it had entered Colombo for taking in fuel, rations and provisions. The fact that it has entered Colombo and Colombo has given facilities was not a friendly act against India, because it's a potent weapon. It's an enemy and they are harboring and giving facilities.
Yeah.
But yet we know that the fact he's come to Colombo means he is coming towards Bay of Bengal. Because he doesn't have to go to Colombo for replenishment, for taking fuel. So then we were alerted. What Krishnan did was, he made Rajput sail and made a message from Rajput saying that I'm Vikrant so-and-so, I've got a boiler problem, my speed reduced, I require dockyard assistance. Immediately, the Naval Headquarters, the CNC, the Western Command, sent a message to Vikrant and give the details of the problem and defects that you have. So the fellow sent all the duplicate details. Then the Naval Headquarters sent a message to Rajput in a code which they knew that these people have broken. It says, please enter Madras, facility is being made available and the naval dockyard from Visakhapatnam will reach Madras. Those days Madras was, Chennai was Madras. And it was not just a message. What they have done was, they carried out the actual preparation in Chennai. That means a huge ore container jetty was vacated because Vikrant requires a large jetty. And then they duplicated with all the efforts. Then says Vikrant is entering Madras, so the logistics was required. They actually placed the order for food provisions, and that means the actual, ship chandler was asked 50,000 eggs, so many 100 kgs of chicken, mutton, vegetables in absolute detail. The jetty was vacated. Indian Oil was asked to make provisions for the special fuel required for Vikrant. The security guard was placed there. Vikrant, the whole jetty knew Vikrant was entering. There are a lot of activities which take place when Vikrant enters. All these messages had gone to Karachi. They had the field intelligence unit. And we were searching. Ghazi actually reached Madras and it was patrolling just 3 miles off Madras. He spent 2 days there. Vikrant did not enter Madras. The message had gone. There is no sight of Vikrant. Now this Ghazi cannot hang around outside the enemy harbour. Then a message was sent by officer in charge, Madras, the naval officer in charge, Madras, saying that we have evaluated the defect. We find that this defect is beyond the rectification capability of Madras, harbour repair team. Recommend that you direct Vikrant to enter Visakhapatnam because they have a naval dockyard there. So the naval headquarters again sent a message to Vikrant that you please enter Visakhapatnam. So they said, what is the speed? He said, I can make maximum 6 knots or something. He says, proceed to Visakhapatnam at best speed. And the entire thing was duplicated in Visakhapatnam. The jetty was told, a huge iron ore berth. The ship was immediately, which was doing the container loading, was removed from the jetty. Vikrant coming was promulgated. Again, the entire thing of, provisions, victualling, chicken, egg, mutton, everything was, actual orders were placed. The message reached Karachi through different sources. They had people in the dockyard, people there, people everywhere. Says it's confirmed. All the arrangements are being made for Visakhapatnam at Madras Harbour in the outer berth, which is the only berth which can accommodate Vikrant. Ghazi was intercepting, and we have recorded message of all this Ghazi in our museum. Ghazi was told by Karachi, proceed to Visakhapatnam because Vikrant speed reduced to 6 knots. It is entering Visakhapatnam for repair. Ghazi patrolled off Visakhapatnam, and then we sent ships searching for it. But that fellow the captain was a very bold chap and a very brave chap. He came close to the harbor, just 1 nautical mile, just 1.5 kilometers. And our boats were searching because it is terrible. It was blackout. And then, for a submarine to be on the surface is dangerous because all the trawlers and it will hit, it will damage it. Underwater is safe. Now the fellow was patrolling, and then now what had happened was a huge explosion was heard. It was so massive an explosion that the buildings far away on the Marine Drive, the glasses broke by the pressure, shock wave. And then they have found the morning fishermen saw the life jackets and things. Then it was brought, and on that it was written Ghazi. It is confirmed that Ghazi is sunk. We sent the divers, we found the submarines sunk there. Now, how it sunk is very difficult to precise because Rajput was going, it is fired a jet charge, but if you fire a jet charge without knowing where it is unlikely to kill a submarine unless in a 1 in a million chance it falls on board this directly. But then I'm a torpedo officer, I know what is inside. The forward portion of the submarine there was an explosion inside and it had opened up. It was not an explosion from outside. So the forward portion was fully, split open. And then the water entered. The people died in 30 seconds because the shock wave is such. So that is how Ghazi was actually trapped. Subsequently, divers were sent, we blew open, we removed the dead bodies, we given them some ceremonial barrier, and all the logbooks, documentations, charts, because in the Navy, when you're when you're transiting from one place to another place, we check every 3 hours, every 4 hours, you mark the place where you are there, 16 times, so and so, at this place. And it is normally written in pencil. And then once the voyage is over, you rub it off and use the map again. So this track chart was there. And we knew exactly where it started, where it ended, and how it reached Visakhapatnam. So Ghazi was a case of strategic deception. And our good luck, that fellow came inside our door and committed suicide. That is a true story because we got the record. We got the messages which is given by Karachi. Messages we duplicated. All that is there. And I was a custodian. We dried up all the, wet, soggy seawater on our terrace. And we collected and we retraced. This is how Ghazi got trapped. That in nutshell. So I had made it exciting in the context of the, as a mariner. So made it realistic. What must have happened inside. That was the Ghazi. Huh?
When we see movies on subjects like these, there was a movie on PNS Ghazi also. It's very dramatic, but how you describe it is so realistic. I mean, because you have seen it from your eyes.
I saw that movie. It is ridiculous.
Actually, it gives a very, very unrealistic idea to the watchers that...
No, totally, it is stupid. And not only that, they probably never consulted a submariner or a naval officer.
Yeah.
It was so ridiculous that the captain uniform that he's wearing, sometimes he is showing as a lieutenant commander, sometimes he is wearing the badge of a sailor.
It makes us think whether is it so dramatic, so sensationalized, or is it as tactical as you...
Exactly. But no, if the charge and the submarine enters, when we are there, if there is an accident, if there is a water leak, there is about 100 kg, 10 kg, at 100 meters, 10 meters, for every meter is 1 kg, 100 meters is 10 kg pressure. It hits you like a blast. No man can survive for more than 10 seconds. And then here the story that follow that forward torpedo tube is open and coming out. Then he goes there and rescues one lady doctor or somebody, brings her into this room. Then he closes that door. Finished. One blast is over. That's it. And then this in there it's shown submarine to submarine detection, and the fellow goes close by. Submarine to submarine detection is not possible. So this submarine is at a long distance. You classify it to be enemy, and then what happens is in the context of submarine warfare, you don't identify an enemy. It's only now it is not possible because it is beyond the horizon or far away. So you just classify it. It's a warship. That you can classify the sound of the propeller, the frequency of the propeller. Then if it's a Java motorcycle going, or a car going, or a auto going, you can identify a three-wheeler.
Right.
Okay? You can identify a bullet motorcycle which goes down. You can identify that as a powerful motorcycle.
True.
So that sort of classification, we can know that this is a warship or not a merchant ship. You fire. There is no question of identity because you are declared in a war zone. You are declared that 100 miles of Karachi is war zone. Nobody to enter or leave.
Right.
And then you fire blind.
In movies, I have seen that they show it a lot of adrenaline-inducing action sequence rather than the strategies and everything that must be the real thing used to happen there.
That's how it actually works. You see, it's a cat and mouse, this one. So the famous case of seeing the Bismarck, the German, great battleship. Right. The entire, the British forces were deployed to sink one ship. That was fabulous. In fact, when you get an opportunity, you must reach. It came as a movie also, Sink the Bismarck. Because it had the biggest guns and the most powerful guns, and no ship could enter close to it. That was the German, huge German ship. That ship, nobody could touch it. Ultimately, it was forced to enter somehow because it was always at sea. It has finished its, fuel and all that. It had to enter a harbor. And then it got trapped and it could not get out. So once it was trying to get out and escape, it was bombarded from all directions. So that's why that captain was brilliant, singing the Bismarck.
So this is the story that you have covered in Mystic Kerala and Singing of PNS Ghazi. That must be very close to your heart.
No, it was an exciting thing because it is dramatic.
Right.
It's unusual to, actually trap a submarine. The fellow was trapped.
Yeah.
So brilliant was the logistics, and like I said, it was done realistically. When you say that Vikrant entering harbor, all the activities required were actually done on the ground. It was not again, bluff that it is there. No, that everything, the cables were laid, the electrical supply, the fuel from the Indian oil, and the provisions, and little cost, money, everything was done. And all the information is going from different sources.
So do you miss working in Navy?
Of course. The best time was, you must read that article, and the submariners never give up. Yeah, that's absolutely, very tense moment. When you read it, you'll get really interested.
I have had a few chats with people who have retired from Air Force, who used to fly planes. So they used to, define it as a freedom, as something very different, out of the world. Do you also miss that?
To be in command of a ship is the ultimate, satisfaction. For a general also to be commanding a battalion or something, that's real responsibility and power. So that is a thing that you will never get duplicated in your life.
So what about belly dancer? How did you come, to the point to decide that you'd be writing a book, that too on Nitin, and you'd be making belly dancer?
You see, the story of a belly dancer came to mind just as I was walking once. So there was an advertisement, belly dancer and all that. So I started making a plot. Then I started with a young film director, Kerala man, who got recognition in the first movie, but got no movie offer, no money. Then he migrates to Bombay, and then the struggle. So then I used to consult him on filmmaking, and then I embedded him into the story.
It's completely different what actually you have written before. How did you transition from what you were writing before? It was very serious what you wrote before, and then completely into a creative genre of, thriller, a pacey novel. How did you transition from that kind of writing to this kind of writing?
I'm not a professional writer, Lipi. I just wrote like a hobby, and I retired from that. So I started writing stories about Kerala, and like Mystic Kerala has got a lot of stories, which is typical of when I grew up in childhood in a village. So there's fascinating stories, sometimes ghosts, that, this, and that's how I wrote the first book. Then I wrote another book, and then I was the idea of, and then Nitin was the film director, or he started there. So I embedded him also as a character, and the other ones he just visualized. Some are true, some are just, made up.
Fiction, right.
In the Mystic Kerala, there is another, there's a last story. It's called Destiny on the Railway Track.
Right.
It's only 5 minutes, I think about 5-6 pages only. Please read that.
I will definitely, because I haven't read the book yet. I had just started.
No, but you read the last story. There's only 5 pages, 5 minutes of maximum it'll take, but it's very touching.
I would definitely. When you wrote Belly Dancer, did you have, any kind of vision in your mind regarding it, or anything that you must have thought something that you're writing a book like this? Do you have something in mind about it?
So I had one thing in mind is what the struggle that a young film director goes through. You might have an art, you might have the talent, and you might even win an award, but to break into the film world, actually it's very difficult. So there is one belly dancer, she had come from, I conceived it, she had come from Russia. She's also struggling to make a name for herself because she doesn't want to be a belly dancer. She wants to get a break in Bombay and become a movie star. There's another girl who coming from Kerala, and she is bent on becoming a film director. So her mother is against her, her father is against her. Her father ultimately, like all fathers, will support a girl. So she wanted to become a film director. And then she gets an entry into Nitin's working team. And she's a very junior artist. She was mortally scared of the film director. And then in Bombay, there is another girl who is the inheritor of a studio, like RK Studio, sons inherited. So she wanted to become a name for herself, like her father. So the conflict of these three personalities. And then I made it in such a way that it will take from one turn to another turn, which is unexpected. And then blended Bombay, because we had grown up in Navy, we were in Bombay, of the pasta lane and the leopard cafes where the terrorists went, Bombay terrorist attack. They went into, because that's where foreigners used to stay there. They fired some bullets there. So I got all those into the story.
So, if you want to describe your life in one adjective, what will it be? One or two adjectives?
I would put it as a man who doesn't give up.
That's actually a very good one. A man who doesn't give up. It's a very beautiful title even. You should give this title to a book.
I will send you the actual incident story of the submarine where it was titled Submariners Never Give Up.
Wow. I would love to read. Any plans on writing a new book?
I'm trying to actually, the most difficult part is to get a plot. Once the plot, get a plot, then it flows automatically. I'm actually working on another book which is all about submarine life.
So we'll wait for it, definitely.
Yeah, that will probably come in 1 or 2 months.
Thank you, sir. This was such an amazing experience to be able to talk to you about such a prideful and such a goosebumps-giving incident for us.
Thank you.
Guys, please go ahead, read the book Buried Answer. It's a beautifully written fiction. And also you can go ahead and read Mystic Kerala and the Sinking of PNS Ghazi. It's my personal favorite. So do give a look, do give it a read. It's a beautiful book and it has a lot more insights about all of it and so much more. Please go ahead and definitely give it a read. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. God bless you.